my soul just like it equally cheers for you and aches for you, because it is such just a like I don't know what the better word is than like place to be in, because there is one part of your soul that's like, how awesome, there's this reliability, there's this predictability, and then this other part of your soul that like cannot turn off these ideas and yearnings to help and things. And so it was actually when my full-time job asked to promote me, and I knew that with that promotion, I wasn't going to be able to be, doing my C's get degrees part for the job. I was like, I'm going to have to like really buy into this. And I was so grateful for that, because it was a forced crossroads. There's like a scripture that's like, blessed are you that are humbled, or blessed are you that are humbled, or that aren't compelled to be humbled. And I was like, no, I was compelled to be humbled. Like I was brought to that point, but I was so grateful. And so it was a moment where I was like, Kathryn, are you going to do all the things you said you want to do? Because I think there's always this like someday, like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to do that someday. They're really cool, blah, blah, blah. And that was the moment where I was like, dang, crap. Like I got to this is a point where like something will change. And I think, again, like being so blessed to have so clearly in my mind the type of family I wanted one day, I was able to like look forward, where it's like, okay, that job that I might get right now would give me X amount of more money this year, these kind of benefits. And if I went on my own, I also knew that in creating that digital product, it would take away from the agency. And so I was like, I probably would turn down the agency to be more of a thought leader, in the marketing space. So I was like, I know my profits will actually dip for a second, especially too, because I'm going to put it into ads and like figuring out traffic and all that stuff. But man, I just knew if I didn't do it, I would my soul would, I couldn't look myself in the face. And so I did, but I was such a scaredy pants about it. So I had about like, probably like 6 months of like solid runway of like, not only can I live, I can like invest a solid amount in like trying to figure out ads, trying to figure out whatever. And like probably like 9 to 12 if I was, being frugal with my finances. So it's like, great. And I'm like, what, 24, 25? I can't remember. So I was like 26. I don't even know how old I was, but a while ago. So I'm like, okay, great. But I knew that I had that number, and that number actually became the biggest crutch for me, because I was like, well, I don't have to launch because blah, blah, blah. So I had the product ready. I was ready to go. It was amazing. But I was like, oh, but I probably shouldn't launch unless I have a blog, a populated blog. Why? I don't know. But that in my brain, I was like, people will know I'm just starting. And so like, I got to have a blog. And then the next thing was like, well, I also need a vlog. And my perfectionist soul wouldn't let me have a vlog that wasn't amazingly edited. So fast forward me investing $12,000 into video editing skills. Has it served me in the end? Yes. But did it serve me then? No, because all I did was spend $12,000 and 2 months learning video editing to then spend another month and a half making vlogs, because I didn't want people to know that I was just starting. Like, it was just crazy. And so my to-do list before launching just kept getting longer and longer and longer and longer, until I found myself, you guys, gosh dang it, in this terrible place where literally I'm like driving through a drive-through with my sister getting dinner one night, and she's like, Kathryn, like, how's it going? Like, blah, blah. And I was just honest with her. I was like, Emily, I'm an idiot. Like, if I don't launch in like the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm gonna have to go probably get a job. Like, I'm probably have to go start looking for a job. And she looks at me, she goes, then launch. And I was like, dang, nice, girl. Okay, like, just do it. I was like, ah. So I did, and so I finally was like, dang, I got to do this. So it was June 6th. I remember 2018. That was the day that I was like, dang, I got to do this. So I launched. I was so afraid. I like didn't have a list, because I only had an agency, like I didn't have a list. So I literally didn't know what to do, how to find people. So I just posted in the ClickFunnels group. No, I was like, I'm like kind of promoting this, but like maybe they won't kick me out. They did kick me out. Let me tell you that. We've come full circle now that, they've bought my product and stuff, but they did kick me out. So I had to like beg to get back in. I was like, I'm sorry, like blah, 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 let me in. But that one post was enough to get like 30 people to my webinar. No, 10 people to my webinar. And I closed 3. And I was like, all right, I've got something here. I have a 30% close rate. I just made $3,000. Like, I got to figure out another way to find people, because I can't get kicked out of the ClickFunnels group every single time I want to promote this.
Right.
But that's how it started. And then from there, what's really interesting is you would think at that point I'd be feeling pretty confident. Like, oh my gosh, I had a 30% close rate on only 10 people on the webinar. But for whatever reason, that's when it got actually the most scary, because I was like, crap, it's real. Like, now I'm actually out there. Now, like, my work, who I am, is like open for criticism, good and bad. And like, entrepreneurship, and I am now learning parenting as well. I have a 2-year-old. Is like just the most expedited self help just thing, because your good, bad, and ugly is just magnified. All your strengths are just so celebrated, and all your weaknesses are just like ready to just be there. And so obviously, as you could tell, one of mine was like, I really care what people think about me, and I was so nervous, I was so afraid, so much so within 3 days, you guys, I was in the hospital with an ulcer, a stress ulcer. Like, I literally was like, I can't. It was so much. I was so stressed. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, it just felt so overwhelming to me to like create something and then have people judge whether or not they liked it. And in my brain, it was me, right? With their credit cards, with their comments, with like everything. And then again, like, insert like another divine moment, like this kind of beautiful, somebody connected us, and I met this woman, and I ended up hiring her to be my business coach. Again, and you want to know how much? So I made $3,000. She usually costs 10 grand a month. And I said, I don't have 10 grand a month to hire you. And she said, how much money do you have? And I said, I've made $3,000 in sales. And remember, I like depleted my reserves, right? So I had $3,000. She's like, all right, costs $2,500 a month. You in or out? It's a one-time offer. And I was like, crap. But like, I just knew I had to do it. So I said yes to her because I just knew I needed. I knew I was so in my head. And I was like, I knew this was the path I wanted to go on. And I needed someone to help me just remember that I was a capable human, even when I felt like I was shrinking inside. And so I hired her for $2,500 a month. And it's crazy when you have a $2,500 bill coming up every single month. You're like, I'll figure out how to pay it. And I did. So then the next webinar, I made $5 grand, and the next one I made 12. And then, you figure it out. And so it was this like really, I wish I could say it was prettier, that I was braver, but man, it was just this like clawing of like this, like Kathryn, like, come out of yourself. Like, yeah, like, don't be stuck inside. You can do this. And it's so crazy because I look back and I had so many experiences that indicated that I could do it. I mean, I had built funnels for other people. They'd made money through their funnels with me. I'd been really successful at my other corporate job. I'd been asked to be promoted. You know what I mean? Like, I did really well in school. Like, I was like, I can figure this out. But I think it's just people are just people, and scary things are just scary. And it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, and I think, I think scary things are a little bit, I heard this thing about grief once, that like grief doesn't go away. It's almost like a rock in your pocket, but you just kind of get used to the rock being there. And so where before was heavy and it hurt, it kind of stabbed your leg. Just kind of get used to it being there. And I think scary things are the same. Scary things are always scary. Mm-hmm. And I think the more scary things you do, though, the heaviness of it seems to feel a little bit less heavy, even though it's not.
If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.